When you're selling a higher ticket service, especially, it gets harder and harder and harder to measure the ROI of any single piece of content, right? People are not going to read my blog and then immediately click a buy now button that they invests in a $12,000 retainer with me. That's just not how it works, right?
I wish it worked that well, but that's just not how it works.
I'm a good writer. I'm not quite that good, right? But I do know that like my blog posts have value because I know that people, when they find out about me or when somebody refers them to me, they come and check me out. They read my posts. People mention on sales calls, well, I read your post about X, or I read a bunch of your posts and I really like your style. So there's this untrackable ROI of those blog posts, right? And the same is true of just about every piece of content I produce. Likes on an Instagram don't translate to sales directly to me, right? But it does help me see maybe other things like, oh, that person's paying attention, or that message resonated with the types of people I'm interested in talking to. It's just not the kind of like super direct A equals B equals a sale.
Yeah. And I think you're right or Meryl's right to be more accurate, which is that like sometimes people just loiter for a really long time. And the busier that person is, the less they're going to take time out of their schedule to reach out to you, to comment on things, to show up for free trainings. I definitely see within my free trainings, it's often either people who are completely brand new to me or people who have been showing up to every free training that I've had for the past 3 years. And there's very little middle ground in there. But the people who join the program are not necessarily the people who show up for the free training, but you have to have the free training in order to let them know that, and recognizing that conversion rates are squeaky. They're not hard, fast numbers.
That's a technical term.
It is.
Squiggy.
There are people who say like, just reach everyone and be in front of everyone and build an audience and then, throw spaghetti at the wall and somebody will buy it from you. And as long as you have a big enough audience, then people will buy, even if your conversion rate's crap. And then there are the people who are going like, as long as you have a high conversion rate, you don't necessarily need to have a big audience. But in both of those camps, there is this assumption that the size of your audience.
Right. And I think we've all gotten used to, well, if you're internet old like I am, we've gotten used to being able to track or talk about those numbers. Like, how big is your email list? How many people are in your social media audience? What are your conversion rates? What's your traffic like? And, for a while it was very much a measuring contest, we'll say, like who has the biggest email list, et cetera, et cetera. But what I have discovered is even a big email list doesn't necessarily convert if it's the wrong type of people, right? So I actually had this experience a couple of times in my business where I would use a strategy to build my email list and it worked like gangbusters, but it was attracting people who didn't necessarily want to buy what I had to sell. And I went through a very ego decimating experience where we cleaned my list and we went from over 5,000 people on my list to under 300. And those are the people who were active, who were opening my emails, who had, we gave them all the opportunities. And that was a real blow to my ego. But at the same time, I didn't want to be paying active campaign for those people who weren't opening my emails. And if they're not opening my emails, they're probably not my ideal customer, right? They're probably not going to buy from me. So although I came up in this world of like, your email list size is everything, not having those people on my email list has not impacted my business really in any way. I'm still sending out emails every week. I'm still getting leads. I'm still selling things because the size of my audience is not directly related to the number of sales I make.